systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, SHIPIT Nation YouTube station? Back with my guy Ham to break down this massive total here. One of the best games of the week. We get it here Sunday night, prime time. Detroit heading into Kansas City to face the Chiefs. Chiefs are surprisingly actually a 2.5-point home favorite here. Might be a time that hey, you want to back the old Lions, but it does feel tough backing Jared Goff on the road and outdoors in Arrowhead. Tough place to play here. We'll do our best to break it all down. Should be a fun game nonetheless here. Tons of skill positions up at the top that we're gonna have to make some calls on. We got a Chiefs showdown slate, so that means wide receiver 6, tight end 4, all of these guys are going to score, and Mahomes is going to be 100% owned in the captain's position. We'll do our best to break it down. Ham, how you doing on this fine Sunday morning here?
Yeah, doing well. Should be a good game, right? Got the premier game of the weekend. Sunday night should be good. I know my guy G-Raz and Hoop will be tuned in. Lions injuries, I think, are the key to this one. So, yeah, looking forward to breaking it all down. It's not I don't know what the weather is going to be there in KC. I wish it was a little bit colder. That would affect golf a little bit more, I would assume. But, yeah, it should be a great one to talk about.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the weather report. I don't really take too much into account in NFL weather unless it's like a tsunami or something like that. But I don't foresee it being too much of an issue here. Total is still at 52.5, and usually that kind of indicates everything you need to know there. Like I said, 2.5-point spread. So it's kind of moving more in the favor of Kansas City. Early in the week, I think Kansas City was 1.5 or 2. Now it's up to 2.5 here with the injuries that have come out from the secondary pieces on Detroit's defense. Detroit's down a couple pieces, a couple key guys in that secondary and on defense, which is a tall task when you're heading into Arrowhead to face Patrick Mahomes with Worthy back and this offense. Obviously, they did not get the job done in their last primetime game here, but let's see how it goes in this one. From the captain position, you got Jahmyr Gibbs at 16.5, Amon-Ra at 16.2, Patrick Mahomes at 15K flat. I mean, I don't know what DraftKings is doing with this pricing here. We finally had decent pricing structure on Thursday night. They threw that right out the window here and said, oh, Sunday main slate's a all-star pick'em team. Let's run that right back into Sunday night here on prime time in this total and get all the casuals to click Patrick Mahomes everywhere they can. 15K is kind of a joke for his salary. As you can see, projected score-wise, he is going to be probably 30 to 40% owned in the captain position, which is the highest we've seen all season long. So we'll do our best to kind of talk through that. But, Ham, I'll throw it over to you from the captain position. Talk about, if you're using Patrick Mahomes up there, how are you going to use him differently? Are you going to be underweight, overweight? He is going to come in as the chalkiest guy on the slate by far, especially up in that captain position. I mean, you're getting 1/3 the ownership on guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Xavier Worthy. You're getting 1/3 the ownership there. And then pretty much anybody else is not even getting talked about up top. Break down the captain position here.
Yeah, captain for me is going to start with Patrick Mahomes. You said at the price, 15K, just way too inexpensive for him. So I'm going to be overweight on him. Closer to, I would say, if you're doing 150 teams, I don't know, I think 35, 40, 45 is not too bad. I mean, the thing with Mahomes is like it's never Mahomes until it is, like Tambo says, and then showdown is definitely Mahomes. Not only can he beat you with his arm, what we've seen, year after year, but those legs, 60 more yards on the ground this past Monday. His offensive line obviously has him running around back there, so he's going to be running for his life. We know they got Aiden Hutchinson. We know the Lions front four is pretty good. So I like Mahomes, 15K. That's going to be tough to pass up. They have no run game to speak of, so Not that he's their best runner. Obviously, he's not that. But, I mean, you can't really rely on the likes of Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, who's all the way down, to 6,000, which is dirt cheap, $4,500. $4,000 for him. But so Mahomes in the captain by far and away. Then after that, it is going to be Jared Goff for me. And the reason I like Jared Goff is I think the Lions are trailing in this game. So I think he's going to have to spray that ball around like he does. And that's the thing. I mean, Goff is very similar in the fact that they have tons of weapons to throw it to: Gibbs, St. Brown, Laporta, this new guy, Tesla, that they've been talking about. Montgomery's decent at catching the ball out of the backfield, and not to mention J-Mo as well. So I would say it's Mahomes number one for me, right around 40 to 50%. Goff after that, and then if you depending on what kind of game you're building, Amon-Ra can obviously, we talked about a little bit pre-show. He can go for 12 for 120 and be the guy that you need up top as well. He's just a target monster. Short, intermediate routes is what he is good at. He would be number 3 for me. And then number 4 for me would be Jahmyr Gibbs. He's obviously the highest price up there at 16.5. The thing with Gibbs and why I like him, I don't think they're going to be able to, consistently run the ball. I could be wrong, but I don't think they will. But Gibbs is the home run hitter, the biggest home run hitter for the Lions. Could take it 80 in a heartbeat, and he could totally flip the game that way. So, I mean, it's the guys up top for me. But Mahomes, then Goff would be 1-2.
Yeah, no, I like a lot of what you said there. I'll start with Patrick Mahomes. You talk about he's obviously not the best running back on the team or the best the best runner on the team. Props would suggest otherwise. I mean, Kareem Hunt's rushing prop is 29.5. Pacheco's 29.5. Mahomes is 27.5. So, I mean, 2 yards within 2 yards of your quote unquote 2 starting running backs there in Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. That's why the floor and the ceiling combination for Patrick Mahomes and how he does spread it out. That's why he makes the most sense. That's why he's getting the ownership up in the captain position there. So when I'm playing Mahomes, I'm going to look to be different there. One thing I like to do is kind of look through some of these teams here and filter to the Mahomes captain teams and kind of see what you're seeing. You're seeing, okay, Mahomes, Worthy, Gray, Pacheco, Worthy, Pacheco, Gray. You're seeing a lot of Pacheco in running backs in these teams here. So one way to be different there is instead of grabbing one of these running backs because they're 4K and they're 4,600 with these projections here, just making a rule maybe that says no Chiefs running back on the same team, something like that you could do, or just look at ways that these teams, right, when you're looking at the captain and what projections are kind of doing to get Patrick Mahomes in the captain position there. Obviously, you have a lot of salary to spend, being only 15K. A lot of them that I'm noticing them, if you go to flex here based on exposures, have Pacheco. So one thing that I would do just from a game theory perspective is not have Pacheco in my Mahomes captain teams because, again, projections and the optimizer are kind of pushing it that way. I would rather take a shot at other guys within that 4K price range or going up to the kicker. So for me, it's Tyquan Thornton, big time over Pacheco in kind of Mahomes captain teams, but we'll kind of talk through that when we get to the flex position. I can't really say much about Patrick Mahomes in the captain position. It's hard to get away from him. But again, when I'm playing him, I want to look at ways to play him differently. Probably not going to be a case where I'm going over the field. I'm probably going to match the field or be slightly under and just take my chances on guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys like Xavier Worthy. I think all three of those make a ton of sense. Gibbs would be my favorite of those, just spanning all the way up to the top. The Chiefs are susceptible to running backs out of the backfield for checkdowns and drop-offs. That's where Jahmyr Gibbs kind of excels, right? I think this is definitely a Gibbs game. It's not a Montgomery game here. So now that I say that, you're going to see him down on the 1, down on the 2. Montgomery's comes in there, right, and kind of plunges in a couple 2-yard touchdowns. But for me, I think Gibbs is in tournaments probably one of my favorite captains on the board, just because it totally flips the script, totally flips the build there, and gets you on a completely different roster construction. Projections hate it because when you look at Patrick Mahomes being $1,500 cheaper with a much better projection, that's why you're not going to get much of Amon-Ra or Gibbs. So for me, it's Gibbs and Amon-Ra as my two favorite captains in tournaments. Obviously, Mahomes is great. And then I like Xavier Worthy. And one other guy I do want to mention is Sam Laporta here, 11-4, just because it gets you on a bit different roster construction. Obviously, we have a lot of studs we want to pay for here. I do still think Sam Laporta has a ceiling. 11-4, again, touchdowns can go his way. You just saw this kind of same type of script with Dallas Goedert on Thursday night, who almost got there as the optimal captain in general. And at 11-4, I kind of like that price point a lot. So for me, it's Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Laporta, Mahomes, and Worthy are kind of the captains that I'm looking at. Those five are really the main five for me. Just that's kind of where I'm sitting from the captain position here. Ham, let's jump over and go position by position in the flex here. Obviously, quarterbacks, talk about Goff and Mahomes. Obviously, Mahomes is Mahomes, right? But Goff, we didn't talk about him much in the captain position here. Are you going to have interest in him in the flex here? He is sub 10K in the flex, which is definitely nice. $600 more than a guy like Xavier Worthy is pretty interesting to me. Goff's going to be probably right around 50% or so in the flex position, and way far lower owned than that of Mahomes there for $400 cheaper. Talk to me in the two quarterbacks and running backs in the flex here.
Yeah. So real quick on if you do go Goff in the captain, I think you need to pair him with at least two receivers, tight ends, running backs. I think you need a min two there. And I'm okay with getting to 3, possibly 4. But if you were to put him in the flex, to me, you're signifying that it's going to be a lower scoring game and you only need 1, maybe 2 skill position guys to go with him. So I like Goff in the flex. I like him more in the captain. However, I know that's if I have him in the captain, I'm saying the Lions are going to win and Goff's throwing, 3 or 4 touchdown passes. If I have him in the flex, I think it's a lower scoring game. Maybe he puts up 2 touchdowns. He's not needed on the optimal. So I have some interest in Goff there. And then it's tough really for me, Nades, to get any of these Kansas City running backs. I know Kareem got there the other night. Just putrid. He looks so slow out there. He got those 2 touchdowns close, though. But like you said, if he falls down at the 1 or 2, they're taking Pacheco out. They're jamming in Hunt. I would be fine with fading the Kansas City running backs. I'm talking maybe like 10 or less. Maybe have 1 or 2 be way lower than the field. And then running backs. I think it was more of just the whole coming home for Montgomery, but they were basically 50-50, and that game was out of hand too. I think it's going to be more traditional 65-35 Gibbs versus Montgomery. So Gibbs for sure. It's just tough to play Montgomery for me. Like I said, he generally doesn't play that much. He broke off that long one against Baltimore on that showdown, and we see what Baltimore is now. I think that's the only way that he's needed. Montgomery, that is he's going to have to get 100 plus a touchdown to be needed, I think. And I just don't think tonight with still no Taylor Decker and that Chiefs defense that Montgomery can't bully ball his way into the zone. So it's Gibbs for me as the only running back that I want to play, Nades, and I would say definitely single entry or 3 max, and then wouldn't get into other running backs unless I got up to 10 lineups.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown there. I'll touch on Mahomes and Goff. Don't really have a preference. I actually kind of prefer Mahomes more in the captain spot because I'm just assuming if he gets there, he gets all the way there, but can't really go wrong. The quarterbacks are always my 2 highest exposed guys in the flex. It's just the nature of how I like to build because I like to be more underweight on the captain quarterbacks up top and overweight in the flex. That won't change here. Gibbs by far and away my favorite play on the slate. That doesn't change here in the flex. Montgomery, I don't like Montgomery much. 7K is a real price point. He has to get there. You take a look at the rushing props. Gibbs is 66.5. Montgomery's sitting at 39.5 there. You look at the receiving props here in this game. Gibbs has also got a 28.5 receiving prop there. So total yard prop, you're looking at almost 100 yards for Jahmyr Gibbs. I'll take my chances. I'm going to probably be way, way underweight. Montgomery's not going to be very owned, but the 20 to 25% ownership he gets, I will just be gladly under that and go to other guys within the 7K range or upper tier here. I don't like Hunt. I don't like Pacheco. Pacheco's going to get slammed to projections at 9.26 projection at 4K. That's why he's fitting a ton of teams. As you can see, he was in almost 70% of the rosters with Mahomes at the captain position. I will gladly just play Brashad Smith over both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. Brashad Smith is not playing a ton of snaps still, which is very tilting. However, when he is playing snaps, he is in high-valued snaps, and they have design schemes and design runs, design plays for him. He's getting targeted out of the backfield a ton. Did only play 9% of snaps last week, which is very, very, very concerning. But I don't think Pacheco's good. I don't think Hunt's good. Why not lean on your guy for $1,000 cheaper at 5% ownership compared to 30 to 35% ownership there? So give me Brashad Smith as my second favorite running back on the slate, but realistically it's Gibbs. And then Smith are really the kind of the two guys that I'm looking at there. Let me go ahead and turn this filter on here so we can hide all the other dongs.
Hey, real quick on the Smith thing, I was thinking the same thing. Is like, and I didn't touch on him, but like you said, I just feel like, I mean, obviously he's younger, he's got more juice, more pop. I think they threw it to him like at the goal line, and he fell down on like the 3 or 4 the other night. It might have even been a penalty, but he was down there, like you said, a high touch, high leverage situation around the goal line. Maybe if he breaks 1 or 2 off, they give him more snaps, but they're just not playing him yet. But I definitely think he's the better back right now. Maybe it's something that obviously Andy Reid knows more than I do, but I like Smith too as like a contrarian in the flex only.
Yeah, I mean, he's my favorite running back, quote unquote, from the Chiefs side, just because he's going to be the lowest owned. I think he's the best one of the 3. Projections are not going to say that, right? So his ownership's going to stay low. And the eye test, or the IKB, right? The I know ball or think I know ball, right? Just from watching the games. I mean, he's their playmaker, right? I don't think they're going to be able to run on Detroit in general, right? And they don't want to run anyways. The Chiefs throw the ball at basically the most of any team in the NFL right now through 5 weeks of the season. So Brashad Smith, I think, is a really, really good play. He's been targeted 7 times on 11 of his routes run. So that's my point there, is when he's on the field, the plays are designed for him. And at 3K, at 5 to 8% ownership, whatever he's going to come in at, that's enough right there at $3,000 to put me on him. If he catches one for 15 yards, falls in the box, picks up a couple rushing yards, I mean, that's more than enough at 3K there. So I like Brashad Smith a lot. His receiving prop is 11.5, which isn't great, but for the limited snaps he's playing, he does have props up there. So that is something I do like to see. His rushing prop is terrible at 4.5, but at least he's got props up on the board, and doesn't take a lot at 3K is my point there. So Gibbs and Brashad Smith are my 2 favorite running backs. Let's go into wide receivers here and talk about it. Obviously, we have kind of a lot to break down here. You got Amon-Ra all the way up the top of the board. Then you got Xavier Worthy, and then it drops off a cliff and goes down into that mid-tier. Jameson Williams still at just $5,800, a little bit more expensive than what he was on the main slate. I think that's $900 more than he was on the main slate last Sunday. Dropped a dud. He was pretty popular here. He's still going to be fairly low owned. I mean, we're projecting him right now as it stands about 20 to 25% ownership in the flex, which feels pretty light to me for a guy who Jared Goff looks to a ton down the sidelines. It's going to be a competitive back and forth game. I mean, 5,800 is a pretty nice price point for him. You got Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton, Juju, the same kind of deals with the Chiefs here. But break down this wide receiver position here.
Yeah, wide receiver, it's Russian roulette like I talked about. I mean, obviously I'll give you my favorite one, Amon-Ra at 10-8. I think he's a great pairing partner if you put Goff in the captain, or if he's just said, hey, Goff in the flex, my only lion is going to be Amon-Ra. I'm fine with that as well. I'm fine with Amon-Ra without Goff as well. He just like I said earlier, he just could rack up the necessary catches, get the 100-yard bonus to not necessarily score. But yeah, so Amon-Ra is number 1, and then Xavier Worthy would be number 2 for me. I mean, came back last game, 9 targets in that game. He's obviously their best deep threat. Tyquan might have something to say about that, but I think he's their best deep threat option, and they want to feed him the ball. They want to get him the ball rushing as well. So Xavier Worthy would be up there for me. And then Tyquan Thornton, I'm interested to hear your take on him. He's obviously had a very good season. Had 90 yards the other night. The problem with him, in my opinion, is he just doesn't play a lot. And I'm just so biased to going back to my New England Patriot Tyquan Thornton days. I'm just like, man, at some point this has got to end. Like, it's just so tough for me to play him. So interested to hear what your take on that guy is. Juju, I'm fine with at 2,800. I think that's a great price. And then I hate to be this guy because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be this guy. But if my boy Chief Keef Khalif Raymond sits out, it's Isaac Tesla time. Nades 2,400. When Raymond went out the other day, I think he got up to 35% of the snaps. They like this guy. They play him in junk time too. He can score if you're building like a blowout script, like you could play him there. But at 2,400, if Khalif Raymond is out, he's a good third wide receiver in my opinion.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown there. I'll start with Tyquan Thornton. I like Tyquan Thornton a lot just because I don't think he gets played much, and it's a way to differentiate from the top with Patrick Mahomes' captain teams. I mean, Thornton still played 45% of the snaps, even with Worthy back last week. Worthy played 77, so definitely the snaps that I have to look into this further, but I'm assuming the snaps when Worthy was off the field, Tyquan Thornton was on there, or at least for majority of those, I would be willing to bet there. But 45% of the snaps, I mean, he's going to be 4,400. The reason I like him is he's going to be lower owned because everybody in that range is going to go to Hunt or Pacheco. Projections would assume that. Everyone's kind of seen that Pacheco is the pass catching back for the Chiefs here. You assume this game to be competitive. The Chiefs could trail. That's where Pacheco is going to get slammed in projections, having almost a 10 projection in that 4K range. Where you look at Thornton's got a 7 projection, right? So just naturally, he's not going to get played projections wise and ownership. And for a guy who they definitely trust, they like him. They threw to him a ton last week, and he was needed last week. I mean, nobody wants to play him again. I'll take my chances on a guy at 4,400 with slate breaking potential. All it takes is one play for Thornton, slip plast, right? And he's gone to the house, and you're swimming at 4,400. And I like how it leverages off the running backs in the flex at that same position there. So I'm in on Tyquan Thornton. I like him a ton. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is pretty interesting as well, just because, I mean, he's sub 3K, right? I mean, his price, 2,800, is kind of ridiculous. And he's out there. He's a wide receiver. He's playing 60+% of the snaps, 70% of the snaps or more, pretty much in every game this week. And he's $2,800 in a game where I think it's competitive. The Chiefs already throw the most, or one of the most of any team in the NFL. And Juju's out there for almost every snap of that. And he's going to be right around 20 to 25% owned. Again, I think Pacheco and Hunt pretty much come in equally in terms of ownership of Juju Smith-Schuster. I'll just rather side with the pass catchers any day of the week and twice on this fine Sunday morning here. So give me Juju, give me Thornton. Hollywood Brown, I don't have a ton of interest in. Personally, myself, I much prefer Jameson Williams. 5,800 for Jameson Williams. He's got the third best receiving prop on the slate at 44.5. His ownership's getting held in check there. I'm in on it. Obviously, Amon-Ra, Xavier Worthy speak for themselves there, but I kind of prefer Xavier Worthy up in the captain position more so than I do in the flex. The reason being is if Xavier Worthy gets there, I feel like it's getting all the way there. It's not like Xavier Worthy's really going to rack up 10 for 110 and no, right? I mean, I think it's going to be more of like a 5 for or a 4 for like 100 plus and a touchdown or two, right? Streaking down the sideline there. So for me, I think Worthy is more so in the captain position. And if I don't like him as much in the flex, that's where I'm going to lean more into Tyquan Thornton, just at the salary discount there when we do have guys we want to play for, right? I want to play Amon-Ra. I want to play Jahmyr Gibbs. I want to play Mahomes, obviously. So that's where kind of I like Thornton much more in the flex as opposed to Worthy there. So did want to mention that. The other guys, Tesla, right? I think he's fine, especially if Raymond's out there. We got to keep an eye on that. But even if Raymond's there, I think you could take a stab on that on him. He's definitely a talented guy. They like him. Doesn't play a ton of snaps, but did play 34% of the snaps last week, obviously because Raymond only played 3% there. So pretty directly correlated there. If Raymond's in, Tesla's out for me. If Raymond's out, I like Tesla at 2,400, but I still prefer Juju in that range much more than a guy like Tesla. Ownership's going to be way different and way lower on a guy like Tesla, but I still prefer Juju there. Not really getting to any of these other guys. Let's jump over, talk tight ends quick, and then talk kickers and D before we get out of here. In terms of tight ends, you got Noah Gray, you got Travis Kelce, you got Laporta, and then pretty much nobody else. In terms of projection-wise, obviously Laporta and Kelce lead the charge up top. Neither of them are really getting a ton of ownership in the flex just because those running backs and those mid-tier receivers, right? You got guys like Jameson Williams, Hollywood Brown, Juju, right? All of the guys that we talked about, and then Pacheco and Hunt from the Kansas City side for much cheaper in the flex than a $7,600 Laporta and $8,000 Travis Kelce. Talk to me. What's your interest here in the tight end position?
Yeah, honestly, I don't have much interest in him. TK, no thank you. He's just not who he once was. 8K, like you said, or he's going to have to do something. Laporta, we saw Laporta last week was in a great spot, but he had a great matchup. I just don't like the matchup for either one of them. I don't necessarily love Jonah Gray down at 1,200, but if you had to, had $1,200 left, he does play over 50% of the snaps. Get my boy Big Bob Tonyan, Nades. Get him in the game. Like former Packer great, Big Bob Tonyan on the Chiefs, doesn't get any run, but man, I used to love watching him play when he was with the Packers. Don't have interest in him, but I do like me some him as a person, as a player. But yeah, it would be great for me at 1,200. And that's kind of the extent of my tight end play. And that's only if he's like the last piece in and I only had $1,200 left.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown there. Tight ends hasn't fared too well for either of these teams in these matchups, at least against. I mean, the really only tight end that did anything against either of these teams is Mark Andrews against Kansas City in week 3. I don't take that for too much what it's worth, right? You got obviously Gesicki in the Bengals offense who can't score on anybody. And then you got the Browns whose offense sucks. I mean, Chicago doesn't use their tight ends. Kraft had a decent game, right, against Kansas City. Not against Kansas City, excuse me, but it's not a great matchup for the tight ends. The one thing I will say is Sam Laporta, I have interest in. The reason being is, I mean, he's projected within a point of Jameson Williams, and he's $1,800 more. He's projected for 0.4, or right around a point higher than Jameson Williams, and he's $1,800 more. That's naturally going to lower his ownership up in the top tier. I already talked about how I really didn't like Xavier Worthy in the flex at 9K. I like Xavier Worthy up top if I'm playing him. So I'm going to have more salary in the flex. I think taking a stand on a guy like Sam Laporta, who's definitely involved in this offense in a competitive game where I think they're going to have to throw the ball more than their standard run-heavy approach that they like to deploy. I don't think they're going to be able to run very good on Kansas City's defense here, which leads to more across the middle plays in Laporta, more dump-offs to Gibbs. So that's kind of why I'm in on Laporta there. Laporta, Kelce are fine. Going to probably be around the field or slightly over on both of them. And then I don't really like these backup tight ends much. I think Noah Gray is going to get filtered into quite a few teams just because it fits the chalky Patrick Mahomes captain team, which makes sense at $1,200, gives you a lot of money to spend at other positions here. All the talks, Travis Kelce's dust, this, that, the other thing. Kelce can still catch the ball and still rack up those PPR. Mahomes still loves his boy. So I'm not as interested in the backup tight ends as seems you are, or at least the field is. I'll take my chances on the top range with guys like Kelce and Laporta because, again, at 9K, I'm going to be underweight on Xavier Worthy in the flex, overweight on Worthy in the captain position, so I have more money to spend in the flex for myself. Let's jump to kickers and defense before we get out of here. We got Bucker, we got Jake Bates, two solid kickers here, 5,000, 5,200. Ownership's going to be held in check, probably some of the lowest ownership we've seen on the kicker all season, just because their nature of their price points, right? You got guys like the running backs cheaper than them. You got the wide receivers, right, in that mid tier, right around them, that are all projected much higher. Obviously, I still am in on these kickers. I will continue to be in on these kickers, especially Bucker. I think Bucker is really good. Bates is still a good kicker. You got high total here. We expect points. It's 52.5 point total. I'm in on the kickers here. I like the kickers a ton. Don't like the defenses as much, but again, all it takes is one play. So I'm not going to like X them out, but whatever I get, the old hoop special, right? Whatever I get, I get. But definitely for me, it's Bucker over Bates, but I like them both.
Yeah, I like butt kicker more than Bates here. I think for whatever reason, I feel like he does better at home. So yeah, give me him. Hopefully stall out around there in the red zone. So yeah, I like butt kicker, and I'm with you. No defenses tonight. Man, the Lions are just ravaged on the back end, so it's going to be tough for them, I think, in my opinion, to kind of contain Mahomes and get interceptions and things like that. And he's like Tom Brady. I feel like it's like he's just doesn't throw picks. He doesn't really take sacks. Just will throw it away as opposed to get sacked. So yeah, no defenses, and I like butt kicker over Bates.
Yeah, I mean, there's much better values in that range of the kick or of the defenses, 3,400, 3,800. I mean, you got the running backs right there, Pacheco and Hunt. Obviously, we don't like them much, but the chances of them outscoring one of these defenses is pretty high, in my opinion, or at least guys like Juju Smith-Schuster at 2,800, things like that are $1,000 cheaper than the Lions defense. I'm definitely going to be lower on the defenses, but again, they're going to be sub 10% on both of them for that exact reason. So you could make the counter argument that, hey, in tournaments, they might be a decent play. But for me, it's definitely Bucker and Bates. I'm going to be over the field on both kickers here, probably 25% minimum of both of them, just because I like the kickers, and it's going to get me on different roster constructions than what the field's going to because of their projections being much lower than other guys within their range. That's kind of the entire breakdown here, Ham. Throw it over to you for kind of closing remarks before I kind of announce something here for the chat. But any closing remarks for the people?
Yeah, no, it should be a good game. 300K up top. We obviously love that. To me, it's Mahomes or Goff up top that sprinkle in their skill guys. But yeah, good luck in your contest. Hopefully your Sunday's going great.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown there. Down in the comment section, well, first hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, helps us out a ton. Down in the comment section, guess the score, right? We're going to run it back, but instead of giving away a ticket, we're actually going to give 2 memberships away that are going to be the all access $99 a month plan with SaberSim. Right. We'll give you 2 1-month memberships away to anyone who or 2 people. If you guess the exact score, right? Or let's do the top. What else do you want to? We'll do the exact score, right, for a membership, and then what's the other one?
Well, I say any exact score gets a membership, and then we'll give one closest one. You got to be close. We can't give a prize for second place on the. Can't be close. We'll give one to the closest pin.
All right, perfect.
You got to pick the winner too, though. Yeah,
exactly. So down in the comments, put your score prediction and put who wins. Who's ever the closest let's do it. Whoever's the closest will give away a ticket. Right, we'll give away a $50 ticket like we did, right? A $50 single entry ticket, and whoever guesses it exact, we'll give away a membership. And then we're going to continue doing these memberships on these shows. So the more interaction you guys do drop for these showdown breakdowns here, we will give away memberships as well over the course of the season here, so you can get in behind the scenes, check us out, check all the sports out. Right, it's the best time of the year. NBA is right around the corner. NHL is going on. NFL, obviously, MMA, PGA, NASCAR. I mean, we have literally everything going on at once right now, and we have you covered in every avenue there for already the cheapest all-in rate in the industry there. But again, we know not everybody can jump in and pay a subscription. So we're going to give back to the community here on YouTube that supports us. All we ask is a like button and a subscribe. So we'll be taking a look at those comment sections there, drop it down. But yeah, good luck tonight in those contests. Hopefully your Sunday's going good by the time this game rolls around, and you got a nice nightcap to end off a good Sunday and a good weekend in general. That's going to do it, though. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. And for Ham, hold on, let me get the outro here. 1 second here.
It's his first time, everybody. We apologize.
Yeah, no, StreamYard messed up. So yeah, totally screwed up the mojo there for the outro. But good luck tonight in those contests. For Ham, I'm Nades. Hope to see those Ship Nation logos at the top. We're out of here. Peace.